The perfect invasion plan, the Corthonian Empire had never failed. Not once in their 3,000-year history of conquest had they encountered a world that could resist their might. From the crystalline halls of their flagship, Commander Zix Theta gazed at the blue-green jewel floating in the void before them. Earth. After 100 years of meticulous preparation, the time had finally come. Zix Theta's three eyes blinked in sequence as data streams flowed across the holographic displays, surrounding their command throne. Every piece of information gathered over the past century was here. Every human broadcast intercepted, every military exercise observed, every technological advancement catalogued. The Corthonians had been thorough beyond measure. They knew humanity's strengths, their weaknesses, their political divisions, and most importantly, their primitive state of technology. The surveillance had begun in what humans called 1925 Corthonian stealth probes. Invisible to any detection system Earth possessed, had positioned themselves throughout the solar system. They watched as humans discovered nuclear fission. They observed the world wars that demonstrated humanity's capacity for violence against their own kind. They monitored the space race, amused by the crude chemical rockets that barely managed to place humans on their own moon. Lieutenant Vexmar approached the commander's throne, their forearms moving in the traditional gesture of respect. The elongated head, characteristic of their species, dipped low before speaking. Commander, all divisions report ready. The fleet awaits your command. Our analysis indicates the humans remain unaware of our presence. Their most advanced detection systems show no anomalies. Zix Theta's mouth tendrils curled in what their species considered a smile. The humans were still using electromagnetic radiation for their primary sensing technology. Radio waves, microwaves, infrared. Technologies the Corthonian Empire had abandoned millennia ago as primitive curiosities. The invasion fleet of 8,000 vessels remained completely invisible to such crude instruments, protected by quantum phase shields that existed partially outside normal spacetime. The commander rose from the throne, their 7-foot frame casting long shadows in the bioluminescent lighting of the bridge. Display the combat assessment, they ordered. The air shimmered as three-dimensional projections materialized, showing Earth's military capabilities in exhaustive detail. The humans possessed approximately 20,000 military aircraft, most still using chemical combustion for propulsion. Their naval vessels, confined to the oceans of their single world, numbered fewer than 5,000. Ground forces totaling perhaps 10 million soldiers, armed with projectile weapons that fired metal slugs using controlled explosions. Nuclear weapons numbered in the thousands, but with yields that would barely scratch Corthonian hull plating. Most amusing of all, their advanced military assets consisted of orbital satellites for communication and observation, with no actual space-based weapons platforms. Scientific advisor Corlana floated into the command center, their species' natural levitation ability allowing them to glide effortlessly across the deck. My analysis is complete, Commander. Human civilization operates on principles we discarded 2,000 years ago. Their power generation relies primarily on burning fossilized organic matter. Their computers use binary electrical signals traveling through silicon pathways. Their medicine cannot even prevent cellular aging. By every metric, they are at least level 2 on the primitive scale. The primitive scale was the Corthonian method of categorizing species they encountered. Level 1 species had not yet discovered tool use. Level 2 had basic technology, but no unified planetary government or interstellar capability. Level 3 possessed system-wide travel, but no faster-than-light technology. Earth fell squarely into Level 2, making them ideal for conquest and integration into the Empire's resource network. Zix Theta reviewed the invasion protocol one final time. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Phase 1 would demonstrate overwhelming superiority by simultaneously appearing over every major population center. Phase 2 would neutralize any military response with targeted electromagnetic pulses that would render human technology inoperative. Phase 3 would broadcast terms of surrender in all human languages. Phase 4 would establish control centers in major cities to begin resource extraction and population management. The Empire had used this exact strategy on 43 previous worlds. The shortest resistance had lasted 3 days. The longest, from a species that had achieved level 3 status, had held out for 2 weeks before accepting the inevitable. Based on all available data, Earth would likely surrender within 6 hours of first contact. Admiral Krexter's massive form entered the bridge, their battle armor gleaming with honors earned in 17 different conquests. The warrior caste of their species stood nearly 9 feet tall, with natural armor plating that could deflect most energy weapons. My warriors grow restless, Commander. A century of waiting has tested their patience. When do we begin? Zix Theta consulted the tactical display showing the position of Earth's sun. The planet's rotation would bring all major population centers into daylight within the next 3 hours. Humanity would witness their arrival simultaneously, maximizing psychological impact. Prepare all ships for dimensional shift. We emerge. In 3 hours, let the humans see their new masters arrive with the rising of their sun. The order rippled through the fleet like electricity through water. 8,000 ships began their final preparations. Weapon systems that could vaporize. Mountains powered up. Shield generators capable of withstanding supernovas hummed to life. Quantum computers calculated optimal positions for maximum visual impact while maintaining tactical superiority. In the medical bay, Chief Biologist Yargosa reviewed their specimens of human DNA, obtained through abduction events carefully disguised as unexplained disappearances. The species showed remarkable genetic diversity despite their primitive development. They would make excellent additions to the Empire's labor force once properly conditioned. Their emotional responses, particularly fear and submission, were easily triggered through standard psychological manipulation techniques. The communications department had prepared surrender demands in all 312 human languages identified during surveillance. Cultural specialists had studied human psychology, identifying key pressure points that would ensure rapid capitulation. Appeals to survival instinct, protection of offspring, and preservation of cultural artifacts had proven effective on similar species. As the fleet prepared for emergence, Zix Theta allowed themselves a moment of satisfaction. A century of preparation for perhaps 6 hours of conquest might seem excessive to some, but the Corthinian Empire had not maintained dominance for 3 millennia by being careless. Every contingency had been considered. Every possible form of resistance had been planned for. The humans had no technology that could penetrate Corthinian shields, no weapon that could damage their hull material, no defense against the Empire's mastery of fundamental forces. The countdown began. Across 8,000 ships, final system checks confirmed perfect readiness. The dimensional shift engines synchronized, preparing to tear through the fabric of space-time itself and deliver the fleet directly into Earth's orbit. The greatest invasion force ever assembled for a level 2 species stood, ready to claim humanity's world. Warning lights bathed the bridge in amber as the shift engines reached critical mass. Zix Theta settled into the command throne, sensory tendrils, connecting to the ship's neural network. Through this link, they could feel the entire fleet as if it were an extension of their own body. 8,000 ships breathing as one. Millions of warriors ready to strike. The most advanced technology in the known galaxy about to be unleashed upon a species that still thought nuclear fission was the pinnacle of power generation. Initiate dimensional shift, Zix Theta commanded. The universe seemed to fold in upon itself as the fleet punched through the barriers between dimensions. In an instant that lasted eternity, they traveled from their staging area in dark space to positions directly above Earth's major cities. The invasion had begun. Asterisk. Humanity's hidden strength. The morning sky above 37 major cities suddenly darkened as Corfinian vessels materialized in perfect formation. Each ship was a monument to alien engineering, stretching over 3 kilometers in length. There, biometallic hulls pulsing with colors that human eyes had never seen. In New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing, and dozens of other metropolitan areas, billions of humans looked up to witness the arrival of their supposed conquerors. Commander Zix Theta stood at the center of the flagship's bridge, watching sensor data stream in from across the planet. Human emergency communication channels exploded with activity. Military forces were mobilizing exactly as predicted. Aircraft launching from bases. Naval vessels changing course. Ground forces moving to defensive positions. All of it futile, but the commander appreciated that they would at least attempt resistance. It would make the demonstration of superiority more impactful. Broadcast the message, Zix Theta ordered. Across every electronic device on Earth, in every human language, the words appeared simultaneously. The commander's translated voice echoed from radios, televisions, computers, and phones. People of Earth, we are the Corfinian Empire. Your planet and its resources now belong to us. Resistance is impossible. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your technology cannot match ours. You have 1 hour to respond with unconditional surrender, or we will demonstrate the consequences of defiance. The message repeated 3 times before falling silent. Zix Theta observed the human response with interest. Instead of the panic they had witnessed on other worlds, many humans seemed to be laughing. Social media platforms that the Corfinians had monitored for decades suddenly filled with images the aliens didn't understand. Pictures of fictional characters, references to something called Independence Day, and repeated use of a phrase that translated roughly to humanity, fuck yeah. Lieutenant Vex Mar approached with a confused expression across their features. Commander, human military channels are using encryption we cannot break. This should not be possible. Their strongest encryption methods were child's play to our quantum computers just yesterday. Before Zix Theta could respond, something extraordinary happened. In orbit above Earth, what appeared to be defunct satellites and space debris suddenly shed their disguises. Weapons platforms that had been hidden for decades revealed themselves. The International Space Station, which Corfinian intelligence had dismissed as a primitive research facility, unfolded massive arrays that definitely were not solar panels. Admiral Krexter's voice boomed across the bridge. Commander, we're detecting energy signatures from the planet's surface that don't match anything in our database. These readings suggest technology we've never encountered. From hidden facilities beneath mountains, oceans, and deserts, humanity's true defensive systems came online. The Corfinians had been watching Earth for a century, but they had been watching a carefully crafted illusion. Every military exercise they observed had been theater. Every technological limitation they documented had been deliberate deception. Humanity had been aware of alien surveillance since 1947, and had spent 75 years preparing for this exact moment. General Patricia Hayes stood in the actual command center of Earth's unified defense network, located in a facility that existed in a pocket dimension adjacent to normal space. The aliens couldn't detect it because it technically wasn't in the same universe. Around her, representatives from every nation worked in perfect coordination, a unity that the public world above had never achieved but had been practiced in secret for decades. All systems report ready, General, announced Colonel Chun Wei from the tactical station. The aliens have positioned themselves exactly where our predictive models said they would. They took the bait completely. General Hayes smiled grimly. Humanity had learned about the Corthonian Empire decades ago through intercepted subspace communications. They knew about the surveillance. They knew about the invasion plans. And they had prepared accordingly. While the aliens watched fake military exercises with conventional weapons, humanity had developed technology based on principles the Corthonians had never imagined. Initiate Prometheus Protocol, Hayes commanded. Show them what happens when you give humans a century to prepare for war. The first indication Zix Theta had that something was wrong was when their flagship shields simply disappeared. Not overwhelmed, not destroyed, just gone. The technology that generated them had been fundamentally disrupted at the quantum level by weapons that attacked the underlying mathematics of reality itself. Impossible, the commander gasped as human. Fighters that looked exactly like the primitive jets they had observed suddenly accelerated to 90% of light speed. The aircraft weren't using chemical propulsion at all. They were manipulating gravitational fields, riding waves in space-time like surfers on an ocean. The human weapons that followed defied everything the Corthonians thought they knew about physics. Beams of coherent dark matter punched through their hulls as if they were made of paper. Antimatter missiles, each no larger than a baseball, detonated with the force of supernovas. Weapons that existed in 11 dimensions simultaneously struck from angles that three-dimensional beings couldn't comprehend. Scientific advisor Colana screamed as their instruments went insane. Commander, the humans are using technology based on principles we've never seen. They're manipulating fundamental constants, altering the speed of light in localized areas, creating stable micro-black holes. This is impossible. No Level 2 civilization could develop such things. That's because we're not Level 2, a new voice said over their communication system. General Hayes had hacked into the Corthonian network using quantum entanglement transceivers. We've been Level 5 for 30 years. We just didn't want you to know that the destruction of the Corthonian fleet took exactly 6 minutes from the moment the first weapon was fired. 8,000 ships, the pride of an empire that had conquered 43 worlds, were reduced to expanding clouds of exotic particles. The flagship lasted longest, a full 90 seconds more than any other vessel, before a weapon that converted matter directly to pure information deleted it from existence. Commander Zix Theta's final transmission, sent via quantum emergency beacon to the Corthonian homeworld, consisted of just 4 words. Humanity is not primitive. In the aftermath, as debris from the invasion fleet burned up in Earth's atmosphere, creating a meteor shower visible on every continent, General Hayes addressed the United Nations of Earth from the previously hidden command center. The secret was out. Humanity's true technological capabilities could no longer be hidden. Today, we sent a message to the galaxy, Hayes announced. Earth is not defenseless. We are not primitive. And we are not alone. Our surveillance network has identified 17 other species watching our world. To them we say this: come in peace, and you will find friends eager to share knowledge and explore the universe together. Come in war, and you will discover why humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. The transmission was broadcast on every frequency the aliens might be monitoring, in mathematical languages that any spacefaring civilization could understand. Within hours, Earth received its first genuine peaceful contact from a species that had been watching the destruction of the Corthonian fleet with what could only be described as respectful fear. The age of hiding was over. Humanity had announced itself to the universe not as conquerors, but as a species that would defend their home with technologies that even ancient empires couldn't comprehend. The Corthonians had trained for a century to invade Earth. They had lasted 6 minutes. The message was clear. Humanity was ready for whatever the universe could throw at them. In the years that followed, Earth became known throughout the galaxy, not for its military might, but for its remarkable deception. A species that could hide their true nature for 75 years while under constant surveillance was a species to be respected. The Corthonian Empire, what remained of it, added a new level to their primitive scale. Level 6. Humans. Definition: assume nothing, prepare for everything, and never, ever underestimate them. Asterisk, the universe had learned what humanity had always known. Give humans enough time to prepare, and they'll find a way to win. Even if it takes a century of pretending to be weak while building weapons that could reshape reality itself. Especially then.